everything has a design. People have designs, and plants have designs, and dogs have designs, and fish have designs. All of us have designs. And to be able to understand or to be able to make sense out of your own design, to understand yourself, is something very important in life. It makes everything easier. But before I can talk to you about your design, I want to give you some information so that you understand what you're looking at when you look at the picture of your design, when you look at your rave chart. That chart in front of you, that chart is like a map. And basically what that map does, like what all maps do, is they show us various places, and they show us how those places are connected to each other. And one of the first things to understand about the map that you're looking at is, first of all, what those places are. Those places, these are the shapes. Some of them are white, some of them are colored in. These places are called centers. And each and every one of the centers has a job, and it has a job in terms of how we use our bodies, or how we think, or how we feel. In other words, each of these places, they have specific work to do that makes up what we are as a person. And each of these centers are connected to each other through channels. You can see the way they're connected. Some are connected all the way, and then you see that the places, the centers, get colored in. Some aren't connected all the way, and the centers stay white. But think about the way in which these places get connected. These places get connected two ways. Look over onto the left-hand side under your name, and you can see under your name that there's two dates that are given. One date is your birthday, and the other date is approximately 3 months, 88 or 89 days before you were born, when you were still inside of your mother. And out of those two dates, we make a calculation. We actually make a calculation to see where things are in the sky relative to us at that day. The calculation we make for your birthday, all of that's in black. And you'll see that the numbers that are there, those numbers each have a certain amount of information, that those numbers have a place inside of the body graph. And any number that you see that's in black, if you look over in the body graph, you'll be able to find that number, and you'll be able to see that moving out from the number, you'll see that part of the channel, half of the channel, is colored black. All that black stuff, what that is that's the surface. Those are roads. Remember, we're looking at a map. And one way in which the map works is by roads. That is, everything's on the surface. That's the part of you, all those black parts, that's the part of you that you really know really well. You know, that's the part of you that you're used to. That's the part of you that you think is you. Because that's the part of you that you can always work with. That's the part of you that you can always know, because it's like a road, it's on the surface. You can see things on the road. You can see cars, and you can see the way they're moving and what direction they're going in. Everything that's in black in your body graph, those are things that you know really well. That's you. But there's the other calculation, the design calculation. This calculation, the calculation that takes place when you're still inside of your mother, this carries what we call what's in the blood. That is, what you inherited, what you got as information, mostly from your grandparents. We all have more in common with our grandparents than we do with our parents genetically. And all that red, all those red numbers, and all of the red that is in the body graph, those aren't roads at all. It's the part of us that's often difficult to work with. Those are tunnels. And we don't know what's going on in the tunnel. We don't know if anything's in the tunnel. And we certainly don't know if anything is going to come out of that tunnel. So you can see that we have two kinds of information that we calculate, and we take those two sets of information based on their numbers, and we move them into the body graph, and we color in. Wherever a gate is activated, wherever a number is active on the left-hand side, we find that number inside the body graph, and then we color in that gate moving outward. Now, one of the things that we look for first, because it's very important to see, is that we look to see where there is a channel, a Ho channel that's colored in. And in order for a Ho channel to be colored in, the gates at either end have to be colored in. In other words, there has to be a planet, an activation in one of those gates at either end. And when there is, then the Ho channel gets colored in. And as a result, the centers, the places, get colored in. When this happens, you have what's called definition. And definition is what is fixed in you. Now look, somebody who has more definition than somebody else doesn't mean they're better. There is no better in this. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own design. It's always possible to look at a design and look at it and see that this is good and that's bad, but you can also turn it around and say that's bad and this is good. It doesn't mean anything. It just means everybody has their way. And at the moment that you see definition, that's the part of you that's fixed. That's the part of you that's always there. You know, it doesn't disappear. It isn't there one moment and gone the next. It's there with you for the rest of your life. And because it's there in you, because that's the part of you that's really working all the time, that's consistent, that's who you really are. Part of learning your design is learning to see who you really are so that you can live your life as yourself. It's one of the hardest things to do, funny enough. And it's hard to do because we're always trying to please somebody else. And we're always wondering what other people expect of us and how we're supposed to be for them. So we think we're supposed to be a certain way for our mothers, and a certain way for our fathers, and a certain way for our brothers, and a certain way for our friends and teachers. Yet the most important thing is not to try to be what you think somebody else expects or wants you to be, but to be who you are. In seeing what's fixed in you, in seeing your definition, that's where you begin, because that's the place that is always there, that's always working, that's the place you can trust. And out of that you can know how to be in the world, how to make the right kinds of friends, how to learn the right things for you, how to know what is right for you to do, and those are things that are very important. It's also important to see that when you're looking at the chart, that not all the centers get colored in. Now some people have more colored in than others, and some people have less, but it's important to look at those centers that are white, those centers that are not colored in. Now the first thing to understand about them is they are not broken. They are not empty. And they don't need to be fixed. They're white. And by being white, what that means is that they are very open. The way that works is, if you have somebody in your life who has a center colored in, a place colored in that you don't have colored in, the moment you meet them, the moment you step into what's called their aura, that's like being pretty close to them, what happens is that you take in their colored center, and you take it in as if it was your own. You feel it inside of you like it was you. And not only do you feel it inside of you like it was you, but you feel it even stronger than the person who's giving it to you. It's because of that these white centers become difficult for people. They're difficult because they never stay the same. They're always changing because they're not fixed. And the most important thing that you can learn in learning about your design is learning to see that you're not the things that are open in you, but those are the things that you're here to learn in this life. And not only are you here to learn things through those open centers, but ultimately the possibility of really being wise about what other things are and the way other things work through learning what they mean by taking them in. But it's not about becoming what you're not. It's about becoming what you are. So now I want to give you a little bit of information about each of these places. At the very top is the head center. And the head center is a place of inspiration. And what that means is that that's a place where deep inside of our brain, everything we experience is taken in. It's like we have this wonderful computer up there that stores every moment of a life. Now, of course, we don't all get it back, and we don't think about it all the time. But it's not like what you go through day after day after day after day disappears. Every once in a while, things jump into your head. Things from the past. Things that make you think. Things that may confuse you. Things that may bring doubt into your life. Things that may surprise you. Whatever. You know, it's like walking along or sitting in your room and all of a sudden something comes through your mind. All of a sudden you're thinking about something that happened to you the day before that, or whatever. This is coming from the head center. Where our mind is, where we think, where we process on the mental plane, where we conceptualize, where we come up with ideas, where we come up with our own knowing or our own opinions. This is the Ajna center. And this is the upside down triangle, the second from the top. When the top center, the head center, is colored in, it's yellow. When the Ajna center is colored in, it's green. The Ajna center is where we process everything mentally. This is our mind. When you go down to the third center, the square, this is the throat center, and this is very important. It's out of the throat center that we speak. When the throat center is defined, it's brown. And out of this throat center, not only do we speak, but we're able, if that throat center is connected to one of the body's 4 motors, we have 4 motors inside of us. And whenever there's a road that connects the throat to one of the body's motors, then not only can we speak, but we can really act on what we say. A lot of people can say things, but it doesn't mean that they can do them easily. And the only way that you can say things and do them easily is when the throat center is connected to one of the body's 4 motors. When you move down from the throat center, you come to the self, the G center. It's the diamond, and it's yellow when it's colored in. This is the place where we have our sense of direction, where we're going to go in life, and whether we're going in the right direction in life. It's also about love. It is about our need for the other in this life. If you have a G center that's not colored in, it's very hard to know who you are. And you have to learn about what it is to be a person through others all the time. If your G center is colored in and it's yellow, you have a strong sense of who you are. Below the diamond and to the right is a small red triangle. When it's colored in, it's red. And this is called the heart center. And the heart center is where your willpower is. Very important that if you have a heart center that's not colored in, that you learn in this life not to make promises, because they're not things that you can keep easily. And the heart center is one of the body's 4 motors. If the heart center is connected all the way up to the throat, and everything is colored in, then you have somebody who can speak and act on what they say, can be willful in what they say. Moving down from the identity, the G center, the self, down below, you come to a square, and this square, when it's colored in, is red, and it's called the sacral center, and this is the most powerful motor in the body. Not only is this a very powerful motor, but it's a motor that makes sounds. And it's a motor that works at its very best when it's responding to things. This motor that makes sounds, it moans and it groans and it goes uh-huh or uh-uh. And when the sacral center is connected to the throat, the sacral center is a motor, and therefore when it's connected to the throat, what you say is also what you can do. Below the sacral is the root center. And when the root center is colored in, it's brown, and this center is an adrenaline center. It's full of energy. It's really a pressure. To the left, at the far side of the body graph, the sideways triangle, this is called the splenic center, and it's your body's immune system. It's actually your laundry. It's your cleaning place. It's the part of you that keeps you healthy or not. And it's the part of you that's always alert, always paying attention to what's going on around you. It's your feel-good center. When the splenic center is colored in, it's brown. A defined splenic center, a brown splenic center, can make you and other people feel good. An open splenic center, a white splenic center, takes in the lack of well-being in others. You can feel when others don't feel good because they don't make you feel good. Remember that each of these centers that are white, that in our process of being alive, what we do is that we are always taking in information through those open centers. What's important to understand is that what you take in through them is interesting, but it's not you. Those people who have an open splenic center, one of the things that's very important for them is that they look after their health, that they're careful about what they eat, and that they make sure that they have a healthy diet so that they can stay healthy in this life. Opposite this center, the mirror of it on the other side, on the right-hand side, the other sideways triangle, this is the emotional system. This is the solar plex center. And the emotional system is the body's fourth motor: heart, sacral, root, and the solar plex. And the emotions are the most powerful motor that we have. The emotional motor is always going up and down, up and down, up and down. These are people that are very happy one moment and then go down and can be very unhappy the next. Always moving in that wave. Those are people who have that center colored in, and when it's colored in, it's brown. Those people who don't have it colored in, they are always taking in the emotional wave of others. And remember the secret of these white centers. Not only do they take things in, but they amplify them. In other words, they make them stronger. So if you have a white, open emotional system and you meet somebody who's very angry, it can make you even angrier. And if you meet somebody who's very excited and happy, it can make you even more excited and happy. These are our 9 centers. Now, look at your individual chart. One of the great plagues of